the Sicha of the Rebbe on Parshas Emor. Good? Anyone who wants to stay can stay. The Rebbe is talking about the counting of the Omer and how, according to the counting of the Omer, it comes out that the holiday of Shavuot doesn't necessarily have to be on the day when the Torah was given. The Torah was given on the 6th day of Sivan, and it can come out, theoretically, and we'll see even actually nowadays, back then when the months were made by seeing, witnesses would come in. So theoretically, it could be back then that the holiday of Shavuot was when Shavuot, what does Shavuot mean? Weeks. So it could be that the counting of 7 weeks will end up, the last day of Shavuot, which is 50th day, will come out on a day that the Torah was not given. The Torah was given, according to all opinions, on Vav Sivan. On Vav Sivan, that's Zman Matan Toratenu. That's Zman Matan Toratenu. The holiday of Shavuot comes out every day on the 50th day of the Omer. The holiday of Shavuot comes out every year, in the 50th day of the Omer. The 50th day of the Omer sometimes can come out, at least for sure in the time when the Beis Hamikdash, when they used to count the months according to seeing. People would see the moon. And if it was a full moon, and the first sliver of the moon appeared one day early, then it could be that a month was only 29 days and 30 days. So according to that, the number of days in the month varied. So it could be that the 6th day of Sivan, which was when the Torah was given, will not fall out on the 50th day of the Omer. And that could be also with us also. The Rebbe is going to show how, the international date line. Let's go.
Wait, I got a question. Hello? I'm a little confused. I'm a little confused by all these dates. Matan Torah, you have Matan Torah. You have Tammuz 17, the day of the first tablets. You've got Yom Kippur, the day of the second tablets. And then you got Shavuos, which is before Tammuz 17.
No.
I'm a little confused by all of this.
Let's get it straight. What is the chronological order of the giving of the Torah?
Yeah.
The Jewish people got out of Egypt on Passover, the middle of Nisan.
Okay. And 50 days later is Shavuos.
50 days later is the holiday of Shavuot, and the Jewish people received the Torah on the holiday of Shavuot. What did they receive on the holiday of Shavuot?
That's the when they heard it.
Only the 10 Commandments.
Okay, so.
They heard the 10 Commandments. They did not get the tablets. They heard the 10 Commandments. The first 2 10 Commandments they heard from God, and the other 8 Commandments they heard from Moshe. They said, "We can't take it anymore, Moshe. You go up." You look in Parshas Yisro. They said, "We can't take it anymore, Moshe. You give the rest." So it says, Moshe Yedaber, Moshe spoke, Hashem Yanenu B'Kol, and God helped his voice, so that everybody heard Moshe speak, and say there was like 3 million people there. They all heard Moshe give the other 8 commandments. So it says, Anochi v'lo yelecha mipia gavura shamu. They heard from the first 2 of the 10 commandments, they heard from God directly, and the rest of them, it was too much. They couldn't. It says every time they heard God speak, their voice, their souls jumped out of their bodies. But so they heard the 10 commandments. That was the 6th day of Sivan, the 6th day of Sivan. And if you count it out, it comes out to be exactly 50 days after the Torah was given. After they left Egypt. After they left Egypt, it was 50 days afterward. The day after Pesach, they started counting. And then it comes out 50 days later, they received the Torah. What did they receive? They heard the 10 commandments. Moshe Rabbeinu stayed up on the Har Sinai. He came down 40 days later. 40 days later. 40 days later comes down to be the Sheva Asar, the 17th day of Tammuz. And he saw the Jewish people were worshiping the golden calf, and he broke the tablets. Then he went back up on Mount Sinai again for another 40 days. And he got forgiveness from God. That was on the first day of Elul. Salachti kidavrecha. And he went up again for another 40 days, the third time 40 days. So altogether he was on Mount Sinai for 120 days. 120 days he was up on Mount Sinai. The third time he came down, that was on Yom Kippur. Then he came down with the second tablets. But that was the giving of the Torah. The giving of the Torah was a process that began from when the Jews left Egypt. They prepared for it by counting the Omer. Then Torah was given, the 10 commandments were given 50 days later. And then the tablets were broken 40 days after that. In other words, 90 days after the Jews left Egypt, the tablets were broken. And then Moshe went up another time and another time, another 80 days, until finally Moses came down with the second tablets. And that was on Yom Kippur. That was on the holiday of Yom Kippur. Okay, good? Is that now that sets everything up? Good? All right, now, okay, you with me or not? Anybody with me? Am I talking to
Yeah. I thought you saw my face.
That just wanted to hear. Okay. Okay, now let's go. The Jews got out of Egypt and they counted 7 weeks. And when the 7 weeks were finished, the 50th day, that was the 60th, that was the 6th day of Sivan, right? 6th day of Sivan. But why did it come out to be 6th day of Sivan? Because one of the months, Nisan or Iyar, was a short month. It only had 29 days. And another one of the months was long. It had 30 days. So there, if you have 1 month is short and 1 month is long, then it comes out to be exactly on the 6th day of Sivan, comes out exactly 50 days later. But what if the months, both of them are long? It could be that people saw, the rabbis saw the moon or whatever the Sanhedrin declared when the month is. It didn't used to be that. It didn't used to be a calendar like now. We could look and tell what every day is going to. It depended on seeing the moon. The moon can be seen on either one of 2 days, either on the 29th or the 30th, at the end of the 29th or the 30th.
Sorry, where are we up to?
The 30th, 31st, actually. The 30th or the 31st. We're just starting this month. Okay, so because the months are adjustable in the length, so therefore it could be that you'll finish counting Sfirat Omer, which is always the same day, the 50th day from Passover. But because the months are adjustable, so the 6th day of Sivan won't be in sync. It'll either come out too early if both months are short, or it'll come out late if both months are long. Good, understood? Which means that what? We're talking about spiritual. Did you understand that? Yerachmiel? You get it? Hello? Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, good. I wanted to hear those words. Good. Okay. So therefore, it can be that the 50th day from when they got out, which when they left Egypt, it came out on the 6th day of Sivan. But that was because 1 month was long and 1 month was short. But if according to the seeing of the moon, both months are long, so then the counting of the Omer will end beforehand. If both months are long, so then it'll be that the 50th day will be before the 6th day of Sivan. And if both months are short, then the 50th day will be after the 6th day of Sivan, because the months are adjustable. Understand? That's all the Rebbe is saying. So spiritually, what's this got to do with anything? Spiritually, first of all, the Rebbe says even now this can be, if a person goes across the international date line, you go across the international date line and jump a day. So it also could be that your day of Shavuot, that you're counting 50 days, will come out either 1 day before or 1 day after, because the time changes, just like it was back there, that 1 day jump, right? Either you'll lose a day or you'll gain a day. So it could be that you'll be celebrating Chag HaShavuot, but you cannot say Zman Matan Torateinu, because the Torah was given on the 6th day of Sivan. And if you go across the international date line, the 6th day of Sivan can come either one day before or one day after, depending which direction you're going. What has this got to do with us and our service of God? Our counting the Omer, this is what we do from below to above. We serve God. We fix ourselves up. The Sfirat Omer is supposed to be that we take each one of our 7 emotions, 7 personality traits, kindness, severity, balance, victory, surrender, connection, action, deed, these, Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, Netzachot, and each one of them contains also 7 facets. There's 7 facets of kindness and 7 facets of severity. And so that's the 49, 7 times 7. We're supposed to be working on our personality, that we put ourselves more in tune with God. Instead of loving something, we think, what would God want us to love? Instead of getting angry or severe, we think, what would God want us to? In other words, we take the emphasis off of ourselves and we put it more on God. That's what we're supposed to do in Sfirat Omer. We're supposed to be working on ourselves. That's work we do from below to above. But then the holiday of Matan Torah, this is what God does for us. God, he gives us automatically. So both of these things are happening simultaneously. Don't ever think you're alone. God is always with you. On the other hand, don't think that because God is always with you, you don't have to do anything. Right? You have to do all the work. You have to do all the work. But when you finish doing all the work and everything, you realize you really didn't do anything. It was all a blessing of God. Your free will is a gift of God, and the success that you have in your health and your being and your whole life and your whole existence and your body and everything is really from God. But God wants us to use our free will to serve him. So using our free will to serve him, that's Sfirat Omer, counting from below to above. And the day of the giving of the Torah, that's from above to below. Good? Good? Fine? Yes? Okay.
10.
Wonderful.
Rabbi,
Okay. Yes. I hear you.
That in Chutz La'aretz, we have 2 days of Shavuot, and here in Israel, we only have 1 day.
Right.
And it's one of 2 answers that I just don't remember which it is. One is because there was confusion from fairly early on as Jerusalem grew, exactly which was the day, because they didn't have the proof, and so they took, even with Rosh Hashanah, it took 2 days.
Okay, listen. How did it used to be? It used to be like this. In the time of the Beis Hamikdash, and like 200 years afterwards, also maybe 300 years afterwards, there used to be a Sanhedrin, and the Sanhedrin were the only ones that could determine when the new month is. In other words, a month can only be 29 days or 30 days long, but you don't know how many. It depends when the moon is seen. Right? As soon as the moon is seen, it means that's the end of the previous month. Some people would see the moon on the 30th day. They would see the moon. It meant that the previous month was the end of the day began. The new month began on the 30th. Some people would say on the 31st, meant the new month would begin on the 31st. In other words, that would determine if the previous month was 29 days or if it was 30 days. That's how it was since the Jews got into the land of Israel. They determined HaChodesh Hazeh Lochem, Rosh Chodashim. The Jews, they decide when the month is. Okay, there's only one small problem with that, and that is the Jewish calendar goes according to the months, but it also goes according to the sun. In other words, Pesach always has to come out in the spring. The Arabs, right, their calendar comes out only according to the moon. Nothing to do. Sometimes their holiday Ramadan can be in the middle of the winter, the middle of the summer, because everything goes according to the moon over there, which I don't really understand. The like America and other places, they go only according to the sun. The first day of June, sometimes the moon is full. It can be empty. The half moon. It has nothing to do with the moon. The time when the months come, even though it's called a month, which means a moon, but it still has nothing to do with it. Judaism is according to the moon and according to the sun. So it has to be that the sun and the moon they sync with one another, so that it comes out that Pesach is always in the middle of Nisan, and Nisan is always in the spring. right? It has to be that way. It has very, very important. It has to be that way. Okay, so what happens? Everybody has to know exactly when the day of Pesach is. You got to know when it is. They didn't set the calendar. They didn't set the calendar. You have to know when this day of Passover is, so that the calendar doesn't get off sync. But also spiritually, the day of Passover is according to when the rabbis say. And if you learn Chassidut or Kabbalah a little bit, you see that what happens on the holidays is a whole, whatever it is, a whole festival going on in the upper worlds. On the holidays, it's a big thing. So when Pesach comes, we have to be fitting into the holidays. It's a time to eat matzah, means that all the gates are open for eating matzah. If you eat matzah on the wrong day, it doesn't work. Right? It doesn't. You have to know exactly when to eat. Okay. So here we are. We have the months are determined by seeing. And the rabbis, they would declare, this month is the month of Nisan. As soon as they did, they had to immediately send out shluchim, and it says that they had the torches, and they would make signs. Everybody would know when the new month was. So that they could count 14 days, and the night of the 14th, they would eat matzah. Very, very important. So that the Jewish people would eat matzah on the right day. And they would also stop eating chametz on the right day. So very important. Okay, so everybody would wait. They would all be waiting because they didn't know when the new month was. People didn't know when it was. It can only be only one of 2 days when the new month is. So they have to wait 15 days after the new month. That's Passover. So everybody's waiting. All of a sudden, the messenger comes, and the messenger says, it's going to be Pesach another week, another this. But the further away you get, the more nervous it becomes, because it takes, let's say, the messenger takes them 10 days, 11 days. So any place that was like too far away, so they said, okay, listen, let's not wait for the man to come. We're going to make 2 days. All the holidays are going to be 2 days, especially this is on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, immediately when they declared the new month, that was it. It was Rosh Hashanah. So therefore they said, okay, Rosh Hashanah is going to be 2 days. So therefore they say, Rosh Hashanah, it's true, it was a doubt. In the Beis Hamikdash, they really knew which day it was because they declared. But they made it that every day was 2 days. It was from a doubt. That's what it was. The first day they said was from the Torah. The second day was from the rabbis. In any case, they did the same. When there was a man called Hillel, he was an Amora. Like I said, it was like 300 years or something after the destruction of the temple. As he made a calendar, and he set the calendar. And he said, okay, from now on, we're not depending on the seeing of the moon. We're not depending. We have a calendar. Everything is set. All days outside of Israel, all holidays, 2 days. Except for Yom Kippur. All holidays outside of Israel, 2 days. All holidays inside of Israel, 1 day. So we decided. There's different opinions if the second day is called, if it's just from a suffix, if it's from the rabbis. Those are different laws, different opinions about what it is. But that, in a nutshell, is the explanation of why we have 2 days outside of Israel. Okay?
Thank you, Rabbi.
My pleasure. All right, let's go. I don't know where we got up to tell you the truth, but I think we're up to Gimel, and we're learning it in Yiddish. We're learning it in Yiddish. Gimel, that's where we're up to? Is that where we're at?
Either Gimel or Dalet, I'm not sure.
Gimel. So let's see what Dalet looks like. 1 second, and remember. Dalet. Can you scroll down a little bit? We have 10 minutes. Okay, ready? Dalet. The Tzvei and Yanim in Matan Torah, these two aspects of the giving of the Torah, from Yom HaChamishim LaOmer, from the 50th day of the Omer, which we said that's our working from below to above, sort of, Fun, Yom Shishi of Sivan, and the 6th day of Sivan, that's what God gave the Torah from above to below. Ken and Kuman, they can come in Bezundur Zman, they can come in different times. Nit nor, not only Bizman Sha'ayab Mekadshim Achodesh, not only the time when they used to sanctify the month, Al Pi according to Ria, seeing, was done, which then, Hat Shavuos, the Yom HaChamishim, then the Shavuos, which was the 50th day. Shavuos means how weeks, right? Weeks. Was the holiday of Shavuos was always the 50th day of the Omer. Then, in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, it can come, ois fallen, b'chamishi b'sivan. In the time of the Beis Hamikdash, when they were counting months, there could be both months could be shorter, or both months could be longer. Then it could be that the holiday of Shavuot could come either on the 5th day of Sivan, or it could come on the 7th day of Sivan. Nor afilu eats, but even nowadays there can be such a thing like this. There, when Nisan is alamol male, when Ir chase, when nowadays we have Nisan always has 30 days, and Ir always has 29 days. Nevertheless, it can still come out nowadays that the holiday of Shavuot, and there was 7 weeks after leaving, after the holiday of Pesach, will not come out to be on the 6th day of Sivan. Can by a yachid, can by an individual, gemult sein as the tzvei and yanim, it can be that these two aspects, sollen nimshach werden in tzvei verschiedene zmanim. It could be that the day of the 6th of Sivan can be in a different time than the holiday of Shavuot, the 50th day of the Omer. How can it be? See, as you do, it's known as to leave them was aired because of the fact that the world is round via kugel, like a ball. Und die Zun and the sun was loiter gang, which according to its what do they call it? Because it's trajectory, not trajectory. Anyway, the way the sun goes around. What's the word for it? Them kadur or it's because it goes around the earth, or the other way around, doesn't make any difference, right? According to Rambam, the sun goes around the earth, right? Is muzayin gaviser kav. There has to be a certain line, liagia of their earth around the earth. Kav tarich. There has to be what we call the date line. Was Dorten, which then tiles sich van under the tug, which then makes a different day. Why do you have to have this? Let's just take nowadays a simple, I think a simple explanation. Maybe you can explain it better. But let's say you get into a jet, and you travel the speed of the sun. Travel the speed of the sun, and you travel with the sun all the time. So in other words, you travel with the sun. It's always 12 o'clock. Let's say in the afternoon, 12 o'clock in noon, right? You're going to travel. It's going to be 12 o'clock noon. You're going to start off, let's say, in New York. And it's always 12 o'clock. You travel with the sun, 12 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock noon in New York, and you keep traveling with the sun, and you get to California, it's 12 o'clock noon there because the sun is in the same place. And then you go across the Pacific, you get to Japan, it's 12 o'clock noon. Then you get to Russia, 12 o'clock noon. You get to Europe, 12 o'clock noon. You come back to New York, 12 o'clock noon, same time. You didn't change. The day is the same day. It's always 12 o'clock noon. You went around. Saying, well, that's ridiculous. Of course, it's not. It's a different day. Obviously, it took you one full day to go around. But to you, it didn't change. The date didn't change by you. It's always 12 o'clock noon, the same exact time. You're going around all the time. How can it be? The sun. We say when is the day when sun goes down and comes up? That's one full day. But by you, it didn't go down. So obviously, that's ridiculous. It can't be. You travel for 24 hours and the date stays the same. It doesn't go the same. So he says, well, how do they make it then? Where does it go? So they said they have to make a line. By this line, anyone who goes over this line, either he goes 24 hours or he goes back 24 hours. That's the way it goes. Because if not, right? Because if you go opposite the way of the sun, okay. So because there is a kava tarikh, there is a, I'm sorry, I'm reading Hebrew. Where am I? Yes. Was dorten teilt sich von under the tug, which according to this date line, all of a sudden the date jumps one day, either back or forth. Und der Ort, and that place from Ein Zeit, on one side of the Kav, is abgeruckt in sight. It moves the time mit a kargen. I don't know what that means. It means it moves one full day. Kargan. What's a kargan? I don't know. 1 full day. As fun them or oifen sveter side on the other side from them kav is a different day. So on one side it's the 5th day of Sivan, let's say, and the other side it's the 6th day of Sivan. 1 day early, 1 day late. But Mela, so it comes out then emetzer geta reber. Then kav, when you go over this line, the date line, this is called the date line. It's a different date. Vet er Iber springen, he would jump over 1 day. Noch Zuntik vet kumen Dinstik. After Sunday, he goes over, will be Tuesday. He skips over Monday. Vadome. Im vet oisfern me'esle eis. If he goes 1 full day, or gate from Mizrach to Marav, if he goes from the east to the west, then it jumps 1 day up. Aber im vet zu kommen am meisle eis, then he will either add on or he'll lose 1 full day. As Zuntik noch a Zuntik. It'll be a Sunday. It'll be Sunday here, and he'll travel 1 day, and it'll be Sunday over there. He didn't make any time because he went the opposite way. Oiber gate from Mariv to Mizrach as Kegen dem gang against the travel of the sun. Okay, that's the international date line. Good, the Rebbe just explained it. The plots, if a person goes over this date line, is mitten from the spheres tug. What if a person goes over the international date line in the days of Sfirat Omer? Is vibald as the mitzvah from Sfirat Omer, because the mitzvah of Sfirat Omer has nothing to do whatsoever with the date. It's just your day. You have to count 7 weeks. So therefore, you just have to keep counting. You don't care what the date is. As yeder yachid bezunder, each and every person has an obligation to count the number of days for himself. Darf silent zir. Therefore, he has to count the. Where are you? Count. Where are we? Count Zayin. What happened? Silent Zayin. He has to count. Huh? What happened? Zayin. Hello. Oh. Colin Zayin. Sphira. He has to count his Sphira. Loitem Cheshbon from Zayin Tag according to his day. You should know there's other people that say not. They say people that you say you should count in the place where you are, you should go along with them. But it doesn't really make any sense. The mitzvah Sfirat Omer, each individual person has to make a bracha. And you have to count 50 days. If you go over the line, you'll miss a day. You're not doing the mitzvah of counting 50 days. It doesn't make any difference what the other people do. Anyway, says the Rebbe, everybody is on their own. You are counting Sfirat Omer. You go over the international date line. They jump a day. You can't jump a day. You have to count your, right? Maybe as far as the date goes, you have to keep Shabbos with them for sure. But as far as Sfirat Omer goes, you have to count your counting. Vos in does is nit abhängig from their Sfira, which the counting of the date, that doesn't depend on your counting of the Sfira. Vos ven, what's going on? What's happening? To use Java, okay. Get it? Emetze Andrish. Then everybody will be counting different. The date will be different from your counting of the Sfiras Omer. Or if them zayit from the Kava Tarich, vu is gekumen. Then on the other side of the international date line, they started Pesach by them was 1 day before. That's the way that the date line goes, right? That's what it goes. The Dugma. Pesach shechol b'Shabbos. If Pesach falls on Shabbos, un einer fort from Mizrach to Marav, and you're going from the east to the west. Let's say you're going from America to Russia. Un Montik nachdem, and the Monday afterwards, Saltem Tzveiter Tag, you count the second day, is from Sfira, is Iber Gefahren. He traveled over the the international date line. Was dort is dinstig, which there on the other side is already Tuesday. Tuesday, and it was on Monday. On Monday he travels. Now it's Tuesday. Is b'shas kommt the next Nacht, when the next night comes, darf Zeilen a Sphira was kommt noch sein zweiter Sphira. He's on number 2, number 3. He has to count number 3. But the people where he's there, they jumped over. They're counting number 4. Thus says this means the dritter Sphira, he counts number 3. Chach as Allah, even though that everyone else, welche gefinnen sich in dem Ort, or the new place where he went over under this, wo is gekommen as sind dem ane, from the beginning of the day of the Spheros, they're already counting the Vierter, they're already counting the 4th day of the Sphira. Right? That's what the international date line is. Un azoi oich oib is Iber gefahren from the Kav. And what if he goes the opposite direction, from the west to the east? Darf Zeilen, he's going from the west to the east. Then he has to count the spheres kasher as alle in jeder Ort alten. Everyone else is counting number 2, as he's counting number 3. While vigorek free, like we said before, Sfiras Omer has got nothing to do with a date. Sfirat Omer is only the counting of the days of the Omer from Pesach. So therefore, on one side, it could be that you'll come out and you'll go across the international date line, and it'll be that your Shavuot, your holiday of Shavuot, it'll be the same thing. Your holiday of Shavuot will be the different time of everybody else's holiday of Shavuot, because Shavuot has nothing to do with the date. Shavuot is not the 6th day of Sivan. Shavuot, according to the Rebbe, Shavuot, the holiday of Shavuot, it comes after you've counted 49 days of the Omer. The 50th day is Shavuot. What's going to be on Vav Sivan, where you're the place where you're going to be at? That's the day of Matan Torah. That's the day Yom Matan Torah Teinu. As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Thank you very much, everybody.